Hello everyone, welcome to another video. So today we're going to go through a 2024's end of year paper in one shot. Let's go. So for question 1, this is actually a very simple question. This is just asking for the sine, the value of sine this. Take note, we are not looking for the angle, we are looking for the answer of sine this angle. So you can see that BAC will be BAC, this one, so it will be this angle, and then sine of this angle will be 12 over 15. So that's why 12 over 15 is the answer. Okay, so going to the next one, now we are looking at tangent, and then the angle is ACB, so that will be ACB, so this one, so this angle, tangent this angle will be 9 over 12, so here, and of course you could reduce to simplest term, so it's 3 over 4. Then after that, you need to find this angle ACB. So ACB will be the same thing, this angle. So now we actually want, if you look, I actually want the angle. So I need to use trigo ratio. So I choose to use tangent. So for me, tangent, this angle is equal to 9 over 12. So I write here, 9 over 12 is just 3/4, same thing. Then from here, I'm going to tangent inverse, and I'm going to press this into the calculator. I can get this, and then for degrees, I'm always going to do 1 dp by default. Okay, so next one is an interesting question. As I explained, why for any right angle triangle, sine any of the angle or the cosine will always be less than 1. So this is very interesting. So what I do is I'm going to write down, so sine and cosine based on our trigo ratio is, this is opposite over hypo. For cosine, it is adjacent over hypo. What you notice is both of them is something divided by the hypotenuse. And you will know that in any triangle, the hypotenuse will always be the longest side. So we are, in both cases, we are looking at a shorter side divided by a longer side. You think about it, if a smaller number divided by a bigger number, of course the answer will be less than 1, or at most equal to 1, and that's the explanation. So you can write something like that. For the next question, we're looking at this will be the classic direct inverse kind of question in the story mode. So in this case, we have workers, we have days. Then so first of all is workers and days. We must ask ourselves, okay, is it inverse or is it direct? So based on common sense, the more worker you have, the less days you need. So this is an inverse relationship where this number goes up, for example, this number will go down. Okay, so once you got that fixed out, we start with the two numbers given to us. So 42 workers, 32 days. And I need to know, what do I want? I want 24 workers. So the workers from 42 needs to change to 24. So we are doing primary school maths here. So in order to change 42 to 24, all I'm going to do is I divide by 42 to get 1. And then from 1, I times 24. So over here, divide by the number itself to get 1. And then times the number you want, which is 24. And so on the other side, since this is inverse, instead of divide and times, I'm going to times and divide. That's how I get the 56. Okay, so next, they say, oh, must be completed in 21 days. So, and they find the additional workers. So this word is pretty important. I want the additional workers. So to get 21 days, same thing, I start with the two numbers I started with. So now the days is the one that needs to change. So the days 32 needs to change to 21. And it's still inverse because it's the same two variables. So same thing, I divide by myself, 32. And then I times 21 to get 21. And over the other side, I do the reverse. So based on this, the number over here is 64. I think this is where the question has some issues, because it says additional workers. The question is, how many workers did they have? If you see it as they have 42 workers, your answer will be 64 minus 42. We need 22 more. However, if you do the this part A, and you assume that they have 24 workers, so your answer will be 64 minus 24 equals 40. So in either way, I think we will both accept the question, but I think the question is not fully clear, so we accepted both. Okay, so next one, show that this expression is always even. So the definition of even is it can be divided by 2. So can divide by 2, which means if you can factorize out a 2, that's good enough to show. So as always, you expand this. This is this is a minus b whole thing bracket square. So it's a square minus 2ab plus b square. Then of course the 3 you add on, you simplify everything, you get this. And from here you can clearly see that you can take out 2. So I take out 2, this is left. So since you can take out 2 over here, the whole expression is always even. So for the next question, you can see that there's a straight line here. You've got this point some 0, 2, and this point 1, 3, y equal mx plus c. Okay, sure. So now I want the value of c. So c is over here, which is basically the y-intercept of this line. So the y-intercept will be here, where they cut the y-axis. That's why this c value is this number, which is 2. Done. Okay, next I need to find m. So if you look at what's m is the gradient. So we have to use the gradient formula. So using 2 points on the line, which is this one and this one, there's only 2 points we have. So what I do is I write the 2 points here so that I make less mistakes. And what I do is I just literally write the formula. So gradient is equal to bracket minus bracket divide by bracket minus bracket. So what are these brackets? It is y minus y, that's why it's 3 and 2. And then divide by x minus x, so it's 1 and 0. Notice I always choose to start with this point. So it must be this minus this, and then start here again, this minus this. So I get the answer. Answer is 1. Okay, now there's another p that lies on this line, and then ask you for a possible coordinate of p. At this point, you have already found the c, you have found the m, which means you know that this is the equation, y equal to 1m plus 2. You don't write the 1 usually, but I'm just writing it so that you can see that the gradient is 1. Oh, sorry, this is not 1m, it should be 1x. So it's 1x plus 2. Okay. So from here, all you got to do is, if you need another point, nobody says what point, right? So what I do is I just simply let the x value be another number. So you can see that we have x equals 0 here, x equals 1. So I just find another point, x equal to 2 something. So I don't know what is the number here, so I use the formula. So when you know the x, you can find the y. So I sub x equal to 2 into here. So y equal to 2 plus 2 equal to 4. So 2, 4 is the other point. So the next question will be this dot diagram. So you can see that based on this is what maximum temperature of each month. So this is the average temperature of each month. So that means out of the 12 months, there are 12 dots here. One of the month, the average temperature is 30. 2 of the month, average temperature is 31, and so on. Okay, so let's look at the question. What is the highest mean maximum temperature recorded? So based on this is the highest number recorded. So 35 is the answer. Very simple. And then as for mode is the one that happens the most number of times. So the one with the most number of dots happen the most number of times. So 33 is the answer, no problem. Next, they want the mean average for the year. Okay, so look carefully. This is for each month, which means they want the average of everything, because this is every month. If you average the whole all the 12 months, you get the average for the year. So it's a bit of an English problem. So they told you that this number is 32.4. Okay, and then they ask you, oh, which one is better? So let's get the mean for, we have this 94, 96. So now let's get the 2022 average for the whole year. So based on this, we need to find the average. So what's the average? You can, let me adjust this. So 1 month is 30, so 30. 2 months is 31, that's why 31 times 2. 2 months is 32, 32 times 2, and so on and so forth. So you add up everything, and over here divide by 12 months, because there's 12 dots there, and this is the average. So we're looking at 32.667 compared to 32.4. So clearly this number is higher, and this is for 2022. So that's why 2022 has a higher mean. That's it. Now the next one, it says that now they discover all the 2022 numbers recorded were 1 degree higher than the actual reading. So how does this affect the mode? You can say that because every number was recorded wrongly, so it's recorded higher, right? So this 30 should have been 29, and of course this 34 should have been 33. So basically all the number will shift, so no number should be 35, this 2 should be 34. So how has it affected the mode from 33? Imagine all this 33 should have been 32, so the mode should be 32 instead. So that means it will have the mode had increased by 1. So that means the error has increased the mode by 1. It should have been 1 lower. So it depends on how you explain it, but if you say it like that, I think it's fine. Okay, so for the next question, you can see that we have some circular placemat over here. This is circular, and it's the square placemat. So this is a square, meaning every single side is the same. And then after that, tells you, oh, the radius of the circular thing is 25. So that means this distance here is 25. What is the radius? And of course, without saying much, all the dotted lines here are also 25. What is the radius? And actually, there's one more hidden info, is that when you sort of crisscross the diagonal, this has to be 90 degrees, because you actually visually can tell the 4 triangles will be the same, and hence it is all right angle triangles. Okay, so this is actually 90 degrees. Quite an important thing to note. So first thing they ask you, okay, what is one side of the square ABCD? So that means they're asking for this one side of the square. So in a right angle triangle, we can basically do Pythagoras theorem. So this length square is equal to this square plus this square. That's exactly what I wrote down. And then if you calculate, it's 35.4. Okay, then after that, they ask you an area that is not covered by the square. So in essence, I want, where do I want? I want this, and this, because that 4 parts is not covered by the square. So this is quite common sense. You basically take the whole circle minus the square. So pi r squared, the radius is 25, and then minus the length of the square, which we already counted. You see, remember, do not use 35.4, use the long decimal. So you can see that I'm using a long decimal. I press the calculator, and that's the answer. Okay, the next question is polygon. We are not testing this in 2025's end of year papers, but since we are here, let's just explain it for completeness sake. So in this case, this is we have some n-sided regular polygons, and this n-sided, not sure how many, and each exterior is 30. So that means if I sort of extend this out, straight line, this is the 30. So this is where the exterior angle is. So then they ask you to find the value of n. So one of the theory of polygon is all the exterior angles, no matter how many, in total add together is 360. So that means if you take this divided by 30, you are able to find the number of sides backwards. Okay. After that, I want BCD. So where's BCD? BCD will be here. So in other words, this is basically one interior angle. So the next theory of interior or the polygon is the interior angle. You know how to find it, because it is just number of sides minus 2 and times 180. Actually, this numerator gives you the total interior angle. Of course, to find each one, since there are 12 sides divided by 12, I get one of them. That's it. Next one, I'm looking for BDE. So if you look at BDE, the angle is actually here, this angle over here. So notice that we have found the interior. That means we know the whole thing. So all we need to do is, if you can find this black color part, we are able to take the interior angle minus this black color part, and that's the answer. So what you may not realize is, in a regular, see, this is regular polygon, that means this length and this length is the same, which means this little triangle here is isosceles. So with this angle, I can find the base angle. So that's how we do it here. You can see that we're taking 180 minus the interior angle divided by 2, 15. So which means this black color angle is 15. Once you have this, is the whole interior angle minus 15. So that's what I'm doing here. Interior angle minus 15, that's the answer. So for the next question, the keyword here is directly proportional. So this is your inverse direct, so-called algebra version. Very simple. So what are the two variables? It's m, and then the other variable is p. So there's two variables here. This is directly proportional to this. So that's why it starts with m, because I start with m here. And then direct means it's k, and then P is P. So no square, no cube, no nothing. So at this point, they will give you two numbers, these two numbers for M and P. So they're a bit nasty because M is actually the second number they gave you, but actually M is the 60 here. So actually it's the 60 is over here, not here. So it might be quite misleading. So 60, 100, sub it in, you find K. Once you have K, this is the actual formula because it's M equal to KP. So now that you know K, this is the actual formula that you're going to use for the rest of the question. So next, the question asks you, okay, how much time in minutes needed to do a 250 pieces? So piece is actually P. So pieces is the P variable. So that means you sub P equal to 250, you sub it in, you find the M. And you just need to check M is what? M is in minutes over here. So you're good. So because the question asks for minutes. So we're good. Next, he's saying, okay, he planned to do this puzzle during his free time. He has 95 minutes. So how many pieces can he do? So the time is basically M. So we sub M equal to 95. So I put it in and then I solve for P. So basically the 0.6 will just divide over and I get 158.3. So he can finish 158.3 pieces, but can he finish 159? No, he can only finish 158 and a little bit, which means the answer should actually be 158. In this context, we need to round down. So for the last part of this question, this will be the classic difficult question, because you see anything time you see that, oh, x is triple, you know this is going to be the difficult one. So and this question has no link with the other one, so that you don't get burdened. So y inversely proportional to x cubed, so it's over here. Y inverse proportion x cubed. Notice I write the x as x bracket cube. Okay, so let's continue reading. X has a certain value and the y is 9. So y is 9 when x is some value. I'm not sure what value. I'm just going to put it as x1. So it's x1 bracket cube. So this thing is equal to 9. Next part, when x is triple. So from here, when the value of x, so we'll talk about this value of x here. So x used to be x1 and now it is triple. So that means it is 3x. See, when x is triple, the x becomes 3x. Notice the 3 is also within the cube, and this is the part that most of you will make the mistake. So if you actually expand it, the cube it, so it's 27x1 cube, and that is actually this is the actual answer. But what did they ask you? They ask you for the ratio of the original to the new. So let's be a bit organized here. So this is the new y, this is the answer. This is the OY. OY is 9. So what is the value of this? We can't work with this because we need a number, right? So what I do is I write this in this way. So it's 1 over 27 because 27 is the denominator times x over x cubed. So once you get this, you realize this number over here, you actually have it because this is actually same as this and the answer is 9. That's why this whole thing replaced with 9. So if you calculate, we're looking at 1/3. So the original value to the new value is 9:1/3. Of course, we can't have fractions in a ratio, so I'm going to times 3 throughout. I'm going to get 27/1. So for this next question, this is actually more an English question because it's mensuration. There's a lot of little fine prints that you got to be careful here. Okay, so we got a cylinder, a cone. Okay, sure, cylinder, cone, and then the cylinder cone has diameter 9. So this is diameter 9. They draw it in for you, which in other words, the radius is 4.5. They never tell you, you better know. Automatic, you must know. And then after that, they say what? Height of the cylinder is twice of the diameter. So this height of the cylinder is twice of diameter, twice of this number. That's why this is 18. Again, it's hidden from you. And then the ratio of the height of the cone to that of the cylinder is 1:3. So that means this to this is 1:3, meaning this is just this divided by 3. That's how I get the 6. Once I have all the numbers in, let's start doing. Then it's very simple actually. In fact, they already have it. They asked you for the cone. the cone, you can do your working. 18 divided by 3, that's the answer. Then after that, they want the volume. So volume is actually very simple. Volume is cylinder plus cone. So right off the bat, I have cylinder plus cone. So it's pi r square times the height. Cone will be 1/3 pi r square times the height. So with this, let's look at how all the numbers came about. Radius will be 4.5. Height of the cylinder is this one. Then radius of the cone will be the same thing here because it's the same circle. And then the height it will be 6, just like we found. So basically you just put everything in the calculator, you get 1272 point something, and then it must be 3SF. So it means I keep, and I throw away 2. I don't need to plus 1, that's why it's 127, but I need to compensate 10 to make it 1000 plus. So the next question will be the classic full graph question. Okay, so we have some formula, and then you have the tables who ask for P. That means you need to sub x equal to -2 into this equation. No problem, see. Replace the x with -2, press the calculator, 5, done. So from there you need to plot the graph. This is done using on the laptop with a stylus, so it's a bit not very nice. It can be like here, all these parts can be smoother, but so be it. So I'm going to draw the graph, and that's it. So what you do is I place some little notes here. It's quite important. This will be 20 squares, and it's actually equal to 1 here. So I want to find 1 square, so I divide by 20. So one tiny box over here is actually 0.05. Just to put this here, because this is not a very common skill. You can easily make mistake. Okay, so next let's look at the question. The questions are actually quite simple in this case. They say what? State the line of symmetry. No problem. The line of symmetry is always the number at the middle, which is the turning point. So this number, if you go all the way down, the x value is -1. Okay, so the deadly mistake here is you will just write -1. No, the equation is x equal to -1, which is a vertical straight line because it's x equal to a number. Okay, next one, turning point coordinates. No problem. Let's go back to the graph. Look at the turning point. This will be -1, 7. It's very clear. In fact, this is even on the table. You can't get it wrong. So this will be the turning point. No problem. Next, this is the hard one. You need to draw a suitable line to solve this equation. Now, in the theory of graphical method, to solve this equation, we need to draw the line on the left and then draw line on the right. So we need to draw y equal to this, and then draw y equal to this, and the answer of this equation is where the 2 lines cut. So the first thing I need to check is this left side expression the exact graph that I drew? I need to check because it may not be. So I check, okay, sure, I drew -2x squared minus 4x plus 5. Let's see whether it's the same. So here, exactly the same. Very good. So that means this graph I've already drawn, which means now I just need to draw this graph, which means I need to draw y equal to 3. Y equal to 3 is just a horizontal line that cuts 3. So here, 3 is over here, so it's a horizontal line. And then where the graph cuts, so the graph is the curve, cuts the line. So there will be this point and this point, and I go down and read off the x value, and that's the 2 answers. So for me, the answer is here. Okay, for this next question, this is the final question. In paper 2, usually we have a long question that has some sort of real life, so in this case it's some t-shirt printing thingy color context. So I like to read the question first. Let's read the question first so that we know what they are asking us. Okay, a bundle has what? 1 small, 1 medium, 1 large, so that will be these 3. Okay, so that's 1 bundle, 1 of each. And then express the difference in the cost of a bundle from the 2 vendors as a percentage of the more expensive one. So there are 2 so-called supplier here. One is Sunny, one is Cosmos. So with the medium, large, and the small, I need to add another one myself, bundle. So based on this, they say the bundle is 111. So it's going to be 20 plus 16 plus 13, so that's 49. I do the same thing, is 51. So clearly, what do we want? A cost difference. In as a percentage of the more expensive. So that means the more expensive one is the base. So this is the base. And the difference between these two is $2. So see, I minus away, this is the $2 difference. Divide by the base, which is the 51, the more expensive ones here, more expensive one. So this is the base, times 100, blah, 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 3SF. Okay, so this will be the expensive minus cheap over expensive times 100. So in this case, it's going to be 3.92%. So this is actually quite easy. So let's look at the behind, the next page, the next question, which usually is the higher mark one. So from which shop should this teacher purchase the t-shirt? And of course must do your calculation. This is actually quite simple. If you look at the cost, we only have basically one variable, the price and how many people we are buying. So since this one teacher, Miss Han, clearly overworked, one person buy 3 CCA's t-shirt. I don't know why, but never mind, let's not get there. So I basically sum up, because they buy from all, right? I need the total. So these three numbers add together. So large, I'm buying 13 pieces. M, I'm buying 16. Small, I'm buying 5. Okay, so since that the bundle is not relevant, so I'm just going to buy this many t-shirt based on this price. And I literally just calculate how much I need. So for example, if I do a sunny, one large is $20, I'm buying 13. So that will be 20 times 13, then plus this 16 and times 16 plus 13 times 5. So that's exactly what I'm doing here. And then the answer is 5A something. I do the same for the Cosmos with the different price from Cosmos. I get this. So which one is higher? Obviously Cosmos is higher, so I should buy from Sunny. That's it. So this is actually very simple. Okay, so next, you state the assumption for your decision. So you notice I'm just counting the costs. So there are many things that I'm assuming, because I'm assuming that, for example, one, the quality of the t-shirt is the same. Because if the quality is the same, of course I'm buying from the cheaper one. So that's how it's done. So the quality I'm assuming is the same. Or maybe the printing of the design is the same. So to print the t-shirt, you put your name, your whatever, your CCA name, is all the same price. So of course, if that's the same price, of course I'm buying the cheaper one, and so on. So something along that line. So there's no fixed answer. Any answer that makes sense is okay. So I hope you learned something. Thank you and bye-bye.